Hey, that Garmin GRMN looks pretty nice.
Is that the earnings gap up all time highs?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like probably the most like notable earnings mover. SMCI cooked.
Trent Spider Jake was bullish. Alex. Mm. All right.
SMCI would have been a 6 short. I didn't have my broker open. I wasn't fucking ready for that, man.
It went pretty quick.
It did go quick.
Pretty quick for sure. Um, yes, I got some work to do to sift through some stuff. SMH down 2%.
Yeah, down your yesterday's low.
Hmm. Oh, obviously, AMD. Yeah, makes sense.
He's gapping down a good bit, like what, 8%, I think.
Yeah, and one of the Apple supplier, well, I think it's called Qualsys. I forget what their ticker is.
For earnings.
Yeah, God, what company is it? What's it called? I forget. Um,
QRVO?
yeah, QRVO,
Yeah, that's semiconductor gapping down 22%.
not Qualsys. Yeah, Cuervo, whatever. Uh, hey, just a random idea, Bronco. Take a look at Baba Daily.
Mm-hmm.
You think this could be like potentially put in a higher low for the eventual wedge pop on this daily?
Yeah, probably.
Not necessarily today, but build. You got the little reversal extension here. This part's really hard in between. Maybe build out a little bit. Something
Yep.
like,
Yeah, definitely.
and then finally pop through the MAs right there. That could be something we could watch in the coming days. I'll keep my eyes on that. Um,
I
I
like
still want to watch this MU. If this does end up pushing red to green, I think that's a pretty convincing trigger on this. And then, unless it does that, there's a no touch, no watch look. It would have to, like I said, break. I think you put the official trigger again at 108, right around that 200-day moving average. I know we've danced around this spot for quite a while, and with AMD earnings, it's kind of a uh, I'm not gonna answer that stupid fucking question. I have no idea. Um, but I need to sift through this list here. I was looking at some news. Even this AVGO, like this was a really big day yesterday, and this probably is, I mean, it has a pretty high probability of building out a high tide inside day. And come on, unless unless this really gets smacked, this has a high probability of an inside day
that was a nice
today.
candle yesterday.
Um, so in terms of those semis, I think AVGO and MU so far have found. Uh, hey, don't lose sight of this Marquetta. This volume wasn't as big as I thought it was.
What was
Mm,
that? What did it, was there earnings?
I don't know. It was up 9%. And there was a bunch of options flow that was coming in. I'm not sure if it was earnings or what, but I, since then I've been trying to look at it inside day. I'm not going to pay attention to that. I'm still interested in silver. not quite ready yet. You would want to see a little bit more build out there. But that's one to make sure to peek at in the evenings. UPST. I'm just kind of going through this list. Dun, 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 dun. APPS. I still think this looks amazing.
Next Carvana.
Hey, I say reckless shit all the time. Honestly, though, I mean, I've looked at their some of their numbers. It's pretty impressive and
What do they
quite
do?
another good question. No idea.
I find that out.
You're cutting out. I'm sorry.
You're
Um,
cutting out.
um, I mean, no, they do something kind of like Unity and APP, I believe. Building apps or developers, something like that. Um, Square, I'm still interested in. So I want to quickly go over the indexes and I want to pass it over to Brock because I want to scan through some things here. So this candle is going to open up inside. Yesterday we got really nice, hold candle. We went over this on the workshop yesterday. The oops reversal look, the oops reversal setup off the inside day yesterday. Really nice. Brock, you'd even mentioned this in the pre-market right down here around this on yesterday's stream around 578, 578.50. Would have been nice to get a little bit heavier of a like initial 15, 30-minute sell on that. And I thought that would have made that setup a little bit easier to take on the indexes. But, some individual names were performing pretty well in the mega caps. I mean, Meta was strong all day yesterday. Same with, Amazon, Google, etc. And then earnings came in. Anyways, a flat open, slightly down 60 cents. I think that's a really good open, a good scenario for us to be in. Now, obviously, if we fade down back into this 578 again, below that, I think that'll be a little bit tougher for the market. I think you'd see, a few. I think you'd see a little bit of profit taking if we end up selling off, under 580. This 580 spot is really kind of like my, bull bear neutral spot. And then, in the very near term, that 578, the 20 EMA on the daily is that, from where I'm, 580 to down there is very neutral. And as long as we're above that, I think you stay, strongly bullish on the market and you really try to trust setups that are presenting themselves. When I say really try to trust, I mean, if you see favorable risk reward, I think you don't hesitate to take them. If you see stocks with, positive PRs, and you can find an area to risk off of, I think that'll be extremely favorable. So again, that's that 580 spot. QQQ, not much to cover. Again, this is, when this candle ends up opening, you're not going to see that pre-market action. It's just going to open up, right here under 480. The two scenarios on this, I would be I'd be shocked if we give back all of this and end down below yesterday's low. That would be a really nasty sell-off. So that leaves us with two possible scenarios, right? A tight inside day, in fact, a high tight inside day, or a red to green push towards new all-time highs. And I'm favoring the latter on this. I think that with Google's impressive beat, I think this should be in focus. With Meta and Microsoft coming up today, I think there's a lot of potential for the market to continue higher, and to see the market open down 50 cents right now, with Amazon up 2%, Meta up 1.8, Google up 7%. It's a little bit like, oh, okay. But regardless, I still think the indexes have room for red to green.
Yeah, that was interesting. I thought the Qs would be up at least 1%.
Yeah.
Like,
So
shit, that's Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. Like, damn.
biggest companies in the world are up over 2%. The indexes are, flat to red, which is, in the back of my head. But even still, like, with that information based on the chart now, then the second scenario of this is, okay, it's just going to be a high tight inside day. above a bullish engulfing candle above all the moving averages and in a massively strong trend. So, either way, it remains, incredibly favorable and positive on that. So I'd be fine with an inside day. I'd be fine with the red to green. IWM, um, I think we're trading against 220 at this point. We do have a slightly down, open down 80 cents. I imagine the advanced decline is going to open up, negative. What do you think, Bracco? Negative 600, negative 500, give or take. And then we'll see where the intraday action leads us. You've opened up right around 220.7 the past two sessions, and we've ended up, pushing higher eventually. We had a slight dip yesterday, followed by a really strong close. If we do see really strong follow through on this IWM chart in the next couple days or today, I think that would look really nice. And then if this decides to drop below, the moving averages, all eyes pretty much go to 218.60 in the 50-day at that point. But defending this bullish gap from Monday as of now. And until anything changes. So, again, just building the case for, where our, bias and where our eyes should be focused and, the scenarios in which will lead to an extremely favorable and action-packed day for this. So red to green on IWM, I think is really is tradable as well. TLT, I just want to go over some of this. We do have the rates coming down a little bit in the pre-market. TLT, bond market up a little bit. That is good. We're still below all, moving averages on this. This like 93 spot for this, bearish open gap, I think is pretty important. I think these have gone, essentially radically too far. The TNX, is back up to some, pretty big spots. I think this could, I would really like to see this fade off. I think that'd be extremely positive for markets, as well as the UUP, which is $1. Would love to see this, a little bit more of a blow off move because these are signaling basically two opposite things for equities. And there's a massive divergence between the bond market and the equities market. Here I am pretending like I know what I'm talking about, but it'd be sweet to see these pull back. Brock, I know there's some news and stuff you want to cover. I don't know what you're.
Is that what I am, a news guy now? Is that what I am to you?
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You are Bracco the Magnificent.
No, I don't have any big ideas today. The pre-market's a little bit of like a mixed bag. I don't really think it's a little bit tricky. I was thinking of like a potential this Nvidia short today. I was looking at the 65-minute just off the semi weakness, with AMD, and then SMCI happened, and this kind of triggered already in the pre-market. I was watching this like 65-minute pattern build out here and wanted to take this through like 140 today, maybe for a day trade. But this is kind of already triggering, so I don't really want to like touch it or anything. But yeah, you got semis weak. SMCI came out down 32% in the pre-market. AMD down 8%. I'd be curious to see if this holds this 150 in this, low from last week today. I'm probably not gonna trade it. So I do think this was a little crowded and it's gapping down, so there might be some like, overhead supply there today that might make it tricky for this thing to push. I don't really want to short it. So, but yeah, you got SMH gapping down right to yesterday's low, which is interesting because this finally, started to look like it was breaking out yesterday, this little wedge here. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. Yeah, you got the Qs gapping down a little bit. Right below 500 with Microsoft up 2%, Amazon up 2%, and Google up 7%. So that's interesting. I'm curious to see how this plays out. Don't have any big trades planned today. I mean, TSDR got me in this ASPI, and this has already made my day in the pre-market. It's up 54%. I didn't really talk about it because TSDR gave me the idea. He had the conviction, so I kind of just roll with it. I know you guys have been talking about it a little bit, but this is gapping up 54% of the pre-market. It's traded 16 million shares already, which is more than 2 times its highest daily volume of all time, which is just absolutely insane. up 60, 50, 60% at all-time highs. I mean, this could go on a big run. It is, going to be extended at the open. So, this isn't something I'd chase, but I'm probably just going to peel some off and let some go for as long as I possibly can on this thing. Um, yeah, I was thinking about this OKLO. I wanted to see if this was going to push like the 30s in the pre-market for a potential short opportunity, but it has faded off a good bit and couldn't quite get there. So not going to touch that today. I'm watching Tesla as it pulls back. Think this could potentially offer another entry. I'm also watching this APP. I can't lie, but I don't even know how to even approach that kind of trade. I might just stay away from it. I think this UPST still looks interesting with that wick at the gap in the 20 MA. A couple of names I'm just kind of keeping an eye on. But yeah, no big ideas for today. I don't really yeah, I don't have any big conviction on anything today. I mean, this NVIDIA was really like going to be my idea, but this is still kind of going in the pre-market. This might still have some room. This might just roll down to the 20 MA, which is down near like 135, 136. If you see these semis stay weak. But yeah, I wish kind of that would have waited for us at market open, but this has some CI. Put the nail in the coffin on those semis. I think Dell and HPE are up right now off SMCI down in the pre-market. So something to keep an eye on. There's a ton of earnings this morning. I posted them all about an hour ago in the pre-market movers channel. I wouldn't say anything that looks like I'd want to trade, to be honest. I'd say it's about a 50-50 split with, the relatively known names of what's up and down on earnings. Got like 10 or 12 names down, 10 or 12 names up. You can go through that list, but yeah, I don't see anything really. I mean, this Reddit could potentially be something like, you saw what, ARM had done out of a similar type of IPO base back here. But that was a little bit different because you kind of had the semi mania, like this, the fever for those semis was so high. And and that kind of really helped escalate this move. So I would be very surprised if it pulls off something like this in a couple of days, but might be worth keeping an eye on if you're good at like buying gaps and stuff or big gap ups like this. But yeah, I'd say that's really the only thing that I would think about
You want to pull up
trading.
Garmin, GRMN?
Mhm.
I think this one's a reasonable one on earnings. It's a big breakout. They had really good earnings. I think their or earnings surprise or revenue surprise is like 30% or something like that.
Mhm.
And their growth was pretty substantial. And that's a big breakout, all-time highs. I think that's a pretty reasonable idea as well to watch. What was the other one you said? Reddit. And then Chipotle's Shake Shack. There's a couple of restaurants that have had earnings. Chipotle, Shake
Yeah,
Shack.
you can flush this Chipotle. I mean, it is within the implied. I've gotten burned twice trying to flush Chipotle. I can't lie. It's a little bit of a tricky one. It's spready, doesn't have the best liquidity. So just be careful with that. Play small. Or just, if you're gonna trade shares, that's cool too.
Mhm. Um, and then yeah, I'm kind of building out this list here right now. ARKK still looks really attractive if you want to pull that one up quick. I got a line right at the top of that base. And they're kind of consolidating over that.
Hmm.
Kind of feeling that in some of the charts. What has earnings today after hours?
I think after hours today, you got what you got Microsoft, Meta, Coin, Robinhood, I think are like the top four. Roku, Carvana, Starbucks, Riot, Etsy, a lot of names. And the pre-market tomorrow, Uber, Peloton, a couple other more names too there.
Good. I'm gonna be watching
Well, you
some
got
of
Meta up 2% too, and the Qs are still red. Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Be
Google,
watching some
Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, all up more than 2%. That's nuts.
D Dog's gapping up a little bit. Not as much as I would like. I'd like this to be pushing a little bit higher, closer to 130 or over 130. Wolf, I might end up stopping out of this at entry if we get some sells in the morning on WOLF. Zim is down a little bit. Um, I'll send a message out where what I'm planning on doing with that, at some point towards the end of the morning session. Sentinel One still really like Toast, still really like Square, still really like apps, KBYO, A Lab, Instacart, TSLL, um, KBYO. I think I covered
You can pull your
everything
screen back up.
I've gotten been tracking. Um, some of the other nuclear names I think is fairly reasonable to watch. NNE looks attractive. They had a big upgrade this morning. OKLO's up a bunch. Like 3% now. I guess it's faded off a little bit. Um, yeah, I'm honestly, I don't have much of a big plan right now for today. I'm gonna be brutally honest. I'm not gonna sit and pretend that I do. But I'm going to be really actively watching things to see how something develops, and I have no doubt that something will stand out. I do have a couple alerts set on some names that I'm setting right now. The CCJ Inside Day I actually really like. I really like this. By the way, like I've said in my channel, when some of this nuclear news comes out, that this is not ending anytime soon. Immediately when that first news came out from Oracle and Larry Ellison, and then the second bit of news, it was pretty notable and strong theme. And we're just seeing more and more and more and more things come out, and it's spread into all these like mini themes with like some of these chemicals and enrichment stocks, um, as well as the independent power producers, the utilities, and then these SMRs, and then uranium specifically. I mean, it's just super sweet. And one thing that I do plan on talking about, and I've been trying to get him to come on and DM'd with Marios a couple times to come on and give a little presentation or a little interview about thematic entries versus textbook entries, something he talks about quite a bit. And it's something that can be really challenging in
FLUT and DraftKings are getting some volume spikes. FLUT in particular just moved 5% to the upside,
this chart looks sick.
or just moved 7% actually.
The chart of Flutter, FLUT. By the way, this is
UK's Reeves to freeze fuel duty next year and raise tax on private equity carried interest to 32%.
So this is what sold off FLUT a couple weeks ago. Was this UK headline? So now that the details are coming out,
Dude, I was
um,
gonna mention this yesterday when you told me
but
what should I buy. I was actually looking at this, but
dude, it looks so hot. And I know Andrew's given his thesis on the earnings this upcoming quarter on FLUT and DKNG are likely going to do, and I agree wholeheartedly that I think both of these completely blow it out of the water and have stellar quarters. The amount of people that I know that, I mean, obviously this is anecdotal, but the amount of people that does YOLO shit on these betting apps is just absurd. um, anyway. Ethereum still looks hot. ETHE still got some of that. Visa is gapping up. Man, this still looks so nice. Almost Lumen had some news. Dell, the environment, NNE. Okay, I'm almost done with my list. I know the market opens in a few minutes. But God, this Coco. Look at this Coco weekly.
yeah, Dark's been posting about it. He said, "Am I the only one watching this Coco for earnings?"
Dude, Manrav and I talked about this way back here. Looked into some of the numbers on this thing, and dude, that weekly is amazing. But I don't have any computer troubles today. Shake Shack, Garmin. It's already on the list. Edits already on the list. Anything I am missing? Okay. Yeah, sorry, I know we don't have much immediately right now this morning, but we'll see how some things develop. And if I get any of the alerts set, the alerts that I have set end up going off. Don't lose sight of Tesla. Again, these post earnings stocks have been just so kick ass. ISRG yesterday, I know people were talking about this in chat, is gap down and big red to green move. Netflix is still in an incredibly favorable spot here. I mean, this has got to be a focus, for a while now. Like this is setting up for possible really big continuation move on this Netflix. It might happen today, to be honest, on a red to green move through the highs. I think I think that would trigger it, and yeah, it just looks super hot. Still interested in this. Anybody got any questions, comments, concerns? So yeah, so Tesla. Anyways, we had that massive earnings gap up. I think this ends up consolidating and building out a really nice range. Don't lose sight of this. All of a sudden, it's you're going to see it breaking out on a some sort of PR or going red to green or something that's going to push the stock another 6 to 8% over a 1 to 1.5 day period. Um, I I'm pretty pretty sure about that on the charts.